Welcome back. This coming March will mark 30 years since the tragic events that claimed the life of Tejano superstar Selena.
It will also be the first time that the woman sent to prison for her death will be eligible for parole. In 1995, Yolanda Saldivar was convicted of first-degree murder. The man who successfully led the prosecution in that case is retired judge and former Nueces County District Attorney Carlos Valdez. And he says he has never been part of a criminal case that has seen the notoriety of this one.
It's so amazing to me. When I was trying this case 30 years ago, I looked around and saw thousands of people all interested in this case. And to myself, I thought to myself, all this is going to be gone. In 5 years, people are going to forget about this trial. People are going to forget about Selena. People are going to forget this ever happened. And I was so wrong.
Now, 3 decades later, Selena's killer has her first chance, her first opportunity to get out of prison. Coming up at 10 o'clock, 3 News anchor Michael Laspia will take a closer look at what goes into the parole process. He's also going to have more with the man who put her in prison. That's coming up on 3 News at 10 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, a story that I know in a case that you've covered extensively, Rudy.
For sure.
Wow.
Absolutely. There was a lot there to be discussed, and the process, the parole process, very, very complex, and it does take time, and many, many people's opinions are going to be factored into that.
Yeah, we'll certainly be looking forward to that full report coming up on 3 News at 10.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for allowing us into your home. I'm Rudy Trevino.
And I'm Leslie Adney. At the top for us tonight, it was a murder case that gripped the nation. A loss felt across the world. And now Selena's killer could get out of prison as early as next spring. The parole process for Yolanda Saldivar has already started.
Selena's murder is a story that shocked South Texas and still resonates worldwide. This coming March will mark 30 years since the tragic events that claimed her life. 3 News anchor Mike Gillespie has a look at the parole process and an interview with the man who put her in prison.
Well, for those who were living here at the time, it hardly seems like nearly 3 decades have passed since the murder of Selena. The subsequent movies, documentaries, and tributes have helped to keep it fresh in our minds. And now another chapter is about to be written.
I don't think there's any other criminal case that has seen the publicity or the public nature of a case like this one. It's known all over the world.
That is retired judge and former Nueces County District Attorney Carlos Valdez, who successfully led the prosecution in the trial of Yolanda Saldivar.
The sentence was life in prison. And back then, life in prison in a first-degree felony, which is what this was, meant that a person who's convicted and sentenced to life has to serve 30 calendar years before they're eligible to request parole.
According to the Texas Department of Criminal Justice website, that 30-year stretch is up on March 30th, 2025. Saldivar is already in the parole review process, something that the Texas Board of Pardons and Paroles typically begins 6 months ahead of time for an inmate facing parole eligibility for the first time.
Most people think that there's a public hearing like a trial or something. It's not. It's a process. It's not a hearing. It's a process that starts with 3 people on the parole board who start gathering information.
That can include an offender's criminal history and their behavior while in prison, as well as any letters of protest or support on file. Eventually, the inmate herself will be interviewed. After that, the 3-member board voting panel will decide by majority vote whether to grant or deny parole. When asked whether he thinks Saldivar should be set free next year, Valdez says he does not, adding this.
30 years later, there is so much interest in the case. And I really believe that the safest place for Yolanda would probably be where she is.
Now, Yolanda Saldivar has never denied the shooting, but has maintained that it was an accident. Judge Valdez tells me that it is still his belief that the evidence says it was intentional. Selena's father, Abraham Quintanilla, says he has not been contacted by the Texas Board of Pardons and Paroles regarding Saldivar's case. Back to you.
And we will have that full interview on our 3 News Plus app. You can access it for free on Roku, Apple TV, as well as Fire TV.